Hello, and welcome to another episode of Intune.Training, the place to learn how to use Microsoft Intune, the Steve and Adam Show, with special guests Ben and Leon. Hey, guys.
Hello.
Hello.
Share my screen.
Hello.
To you guys.
Hello
So
from the UK.
From the UK, I would not have guessed.
Yeah.
Well, subtle hints, you know.
And we've got Pirate Island there as well.
Absolutely.
No idea what's going on over there.
We'll mix things up.
So, guys, take a moment and introduce yourselves, because, we don't know who you guys are. Nobody knows. Nobody's seen you on our channel yet. So, who are you guys?
I'm on age before beauty, mate.
Oh, you're older than me, Ben.
Am
Okay, so I'm.
I ran into that one, didn't I?
Yeah.
So, hi everyone. I'm Leon. I like to blog.
Camera's over the other side.
Say again.
Camera's over the other side.
Oh
We're
yeah, of
over
course.
here.
Yeah.
Look at us
I
over
forgot
here.
about it. Yeah.
The news
Unfortunately,
anchor.
got one of them weird cameras that's in the bottom of the screen of my Dell laptop. But yes, hello everyone. I'm Leon. I'm currently working for a company called Power On Platforms in the UK. I work with Intune on a daily basis. I like to blog at Leon's IT blog. Couldn't really think of any better name for my blog than that, but there we go. I can't change it now. My esteemed friend here, Ben, we started up a user group back in November, and having lots of fun with that, really.
Yeah, we are. It's awesome. Thank you, Leon. I'm an esteemed. Those for the esteemed friend part. I'm like, wow.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like, I'm gonna cry. I'll say hello. Hello. My name is Ben Whitmore, and I'm an esteemed friend of Leon over here in the UK too.
His new email signature and Twitter handle is Leon's esteemed friend.
That's it, yeah.
Esteemed friends from the UK. I blog as well. I'm a jack of all trades, I guess. I do a lot of config man, a lot of Intune, a lot of Azure AD. My role is a senior technical architect, so I have responsibilities for the whole of the Microsoft stack, and VMware as well, and the data center. So I'm spinning lots of plates.
Far too much.
It is far too much. But I guess my love is kind of the endpoint management stuff.
And you still have time to blog. It's ridiculous. You can excel in all those things and blog.
we have 32-hour days over here in the UK.
You guys took all the nice things. Good Lord.
Kept them, I believe. Not took.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Well, they took them from someone.
Yeah, it's busy. The days are busy. I've got 3 girls, my dad and my husband. I've got dogs and cats and guinea pigs and other animals falling around. It's busy, but I love blogging, so I love to share what I do. I hope people find it useful. I sometimes do things a bit quirkier than others, but hey, I'm British. Got the flag to prove it.
Nice.
Awesome.
Well, it's wonderful to have you guys on the show with us today. We reached out to these guys pretty close to when we started our channel, and it's taken us this long to line everything up to get us together, mainly because of some time zone things, trying to figure out who gets to be awake the earliest and the latest to make this work out. So we found a nice sweet spot today to be able to make this happen. So thank you guys for being available to do this.
It's an honor. It's an honor. We love
Absolutely.
what you guys are doing with this channel. So it's an honor and a privilege to be on there.
You didn't have to say that, but thank you for reading from the script. Appreciate
Okay, my PayPal account is.
Now, whenever
Also-
anybody asks about sort of Intune training videos, this is the go-to straight away. I always direct them to this great show.
Until Leon and I do a better one, of course.
Of course.
It won't take much. All you have to do is literally hit record as you work, and it'll probably be better. We get lots of complaints about the amount of banter that Adam gives out, but hey, whatever. It's what we do. Okay, so So the format of this is this is going to be one of our off the cuff episodes where we just have a chat. So we'd like to kind of interview you guys about your day-to-day work, just your, the things that things you're most excited about currently, either in the product or in your day job or what you're doing. I think we should chat a little bit about the challenges you may have experienced with all the work from home situation with COVID and all that sort of stuff, and just kind of dig into, what are your top features that you like about the product, or those sorts of things. So we'll just kind of take it where it leads us. So I think let's start on the work from home stuff. I mean, that kind of all took us all for a nice ride here. We're all still dealing with it. I think some folks companies, I know our company is looking at beginning to transition back into the office, but there's lots of folks that are still trying to figure out their work from home solution. They don't even have VPN for their people yet, and they may end up back in the office before they get that stuff going. So what have you guys experienced and seen in your environments as we've transitioned into this?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, I guess where I work at the moment, we've been quite traditional in how we've delivered IT to our customers. So it's been very much, you come into work, you have a computer at a desk, you sit at the desk, or some people have laptops, not that many. And so it's this kind of traditional, you go to work, you sit at your desk, then all of a sudden the business is saying, hang on a minute, nobody can come to work, or a few people can. We need to get these guys working at home. So all of a sudden it's been a big uphill challenge for the IT team to look at things like always on VPN, and you're suddenly taking this task sequence that you've kind of bred over the years. That's pretty awesome, and it's very much heavily focused on-prem. Your machine is on-prem, and then all of a sudden the machine's not on-premise anymore. So how do we then connect that back in? And it's like, well, we haven't configured a CMG yet. The computers are out there now. Can we backtrack and configure a CMG? So and I've heard others have had that same challenge, and it's like, what do we do? Do we spin up a CMG and throw out the client again from Intune down to the device? Will that work? So I think we're not alone in the challenges we've had. And then, I mean, another thing that we've seen is with always on VPN, with the whole split tunnel. So you do send those clients out and you get the VPN client working, and then all of a sudden you're pulling all of your software updates and applications through the VPN tunnel, and that thing starts to collapse.
Thank you, Microsoft, for the 1 gig patch last month.
Yeah, but for all the challenges we've had in having to get up to speed with a lot of the new technology, especially pushing a lot of stuff from Intune now, pushing a lot of workloads across from Pilot and co-management across to Intune. As challenging as that's been, and as difficult as it's been, and as long as the days have been, it's actually been quite rewarding. To look back and say we've been in this situation for 4 or 5 weeks, and look at how much technology we've actually introduced in that short time frame. It's pretty amazing,
We literally just stood up our first CMG in production this week. Like, finally got it working earlier this week.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I think we're all living that, like, well, this is cool. But I mean, honestly, we've looked at the CMG and said, well, what do we need this for? Because we've got always on VPN. So all of our laptop users should be fine. They should be coming back here. But then we did the split tunnel stuff to deal with it. And then we looked at it and we said, we just delivered Teams from the DPs over VPN. And we delivered, I don't know, almost 2 terabytes of Teams, packets out to clients over VPN. Probably about 2,000, 3,000 clients. And it all worked because we have a very robust environment. But a lot of folks don't have that. So we started looking and saying, wait, if we turn on the CMG, because we know we've got some other things that we want to push out soon, and we started doing the math on how big that was going to be for other apps that we're going to push. I said, man, look at all this bandwidth that we could save if we stand up a cloud distribution point with our over a CMG and do split tunnel to it. And sure enough, we were able to test that, and yeah, that works remarkably well. But it takes some tight coordination between security and the remote connectivity folks and the people, everybody managing all the bits and pieces, and we're not able to all go sit down and hash it out in a conference room. We're all doing it via email and via individual chats and things, and
Teams meetings.
Yeah, it's been a lot of that, and I've been very, very impressed with our team's just response to this. I mean, we've implemented a ton of things, and we're still, we're in phases on Teams rollout right now on the adding features now. So we've got Teams out, but now it's like, okay, well, let's add these things, and trying to accelerate while the business is interested in it, because real soon they're going to put the brakes back on and say, hey, let's go real slow again.
Another really good thing that's come out of this for us is that we're partway through the Office 365 rollout as well. And in some areas, we're really having to push it down people's throats and evangelize it to say this is really good stuff. But with Teams recently, and the uptake it's needed to have people working from home, it's sold itself. So in that respect, it's made that rollout a lot easier in terms of user adoption. But yeah, it's cool. I mean, the CMG is a really interesting talking point because, and I know Johan, he's done a tweet recently on this, is that maybe some people have not gone to it yet because they're afraid of the costs. So it's quite interesting to see in the community that, people are starting to pull their experiences together just to show people, if you look at the bang per buck, it's not that much. So that'd be really interesting to see what he can collate from different people. And I think we'll see a bigger uptake in CMG.
Yeah, I had, in our initial experiences with using like the Azure calculator, I remember looking at that early on, and because we've continually had that question, that's been a big holdup of deploying the CMG was cost. Like, oh, we don't know. And it was hard to figure out what all pieces we needed to do the calculation on. And it's multiple pieces. And it's like, okay, well, you've got to have the compute resource, and you got to get the price on the VM, then you got to get a price on the storage. But then it's the network egress that's the big kicker right there. And then it's, so you put it in the calculator and it spits out these numbers, and you're like, well, I don't know, are these right? What am I missing? There's these hidden costs and things. And so finally being able to get some community validation of literally it's pennies type things. I mean, I think we did the math on it, and so for the one VM and I think we said maybe 5 terabytes of storage or something. I think it's the basic storage. I think we're saying like 5 terabytes of egress per month or something. I think we came out to like $600 a month, but that's for, it's total 8,000 seats, but maybe 3,000 over VPN. And that's it's kind of pennies really when you really get down to it, especially if you consider, terabytes of data going out to clients that aren't having to go over the VPN and clog up like, Teams bandwidth or other stuff like that. I think that's really impressive.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're absolutely right. Because you're always worried that, I've done these calculations, I've run these calculators, but I must have missed something. So if I come into the business and say, it's only going to cost you a few $100, and then it doesn't, you think, oh, that's my job. And maybe that's why there's a reluctance, or there has been a reluctance to go there. But
so Leon, what kind of experience have you seen?
It's quite interesting for me, actually. So I've come from working in the office as part of a traditional IT team to working from home. So my role actually is primarily based from home, and the transition to that I found difficult initially, but as a result of what has happened, it's actually really made me embrace the fact that I'm able to work from home and feel really grateful for it. As an organization, the transition has been very easy. A lot of our guys work from home anyway. So that's been fine. CMG, so you mentioned the CMG. So the platform we host a managed multi-tenanted config manager platform hosted in Azure. So most of our traffic is CMG traffic anyway, but we are seeing that our customers are needing that sort of little extra bit of support in these times. And whilst initially we saw sort of a few engagements were cancelled, a lot of other sort of engagements have came up where customers they want this done, but it needs to be done like now. And some of my colleagues have come up with some great solutions. So one of my colleagues has came up with a white paper of how to quickly roll out an always-on VPN instance. So that side of the business has really picked up. The remote working solutions part of the organisation has definitely picked up. Yeah, and I'm just generally seeing that customers are needing that extra support. Really, it's interesting.
So prior to going into this, what sort of? We've been talking about the CMG, and so that's tying back into the config manager space. How much of? It's all one thing. It's the MIM umbrella, but so looking at it from the Intune side of things, how much of your estates were in Intune going into this, and how did you see that be, how beneficial was that, or was it even a change for what you were from the way you were managing it previously?
I've not necessarily seen a change. One customer in particular has kind of embraced so they're co-managed at the moment, and they have decided to all of a sudden flip the workloads, and they're actually going to be removing their config manager, so they'll be Intune only, and again, as a result of what has happened, that they seem to be embracing it more. Again, I think it's because that their whole company is now working remotely. They can see the benefits of it. They've significantly reduced the complexity of their infrastructure. It's been a phased process. There was part of they had a subscription for our managed platform, and now they've gone for sort of like a fully managed service, but that's Intune based. So that's been really interesting. Definitely. That's pretty much been my life for the past 8 months, is Intune Windows 10, which is great. It's
where the fun's at.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
For us, we were managing all of our mobile devices with Intune, so we had pretty good experience with it.
I tried to convert it to Android, but it didn't happen.
Sorry, what was that?
Yeah. No, you
is that a type of phone or something? So we were pretty comfortable with managing devices. We were quite happy with conditional access and policies and configuration policies, and we hadn't done too much for Windows 10 because we were so tight down on config management on-prem for stuff. But Leon and I, was it last year, Leon, we got into co-management quite heavily. We put a lot of time into it and looked at the nuances.
Ben's got an excellent blog post series on co-management. Blog,
yeah,
really good.
Definitely.
We really started to see the value of starting to move stuff to Intune. And the big turning point for us is when the whole licensing pricing changed. And most of us started pushing the M365 product. Yeah. And where we used to have a traditional enterprise agreement, and some of the discounts on that were starting to go, kind of a legacy way of licensing, and the discounts were now being introduced with the M365. It kind of made sense to look at it. So we ended up with everybody being licensed to be able to use it. And I love something new. I love to play. So we started to look at it, and then we were looking at co-management, and then I was saying, okay, so we can move workloads across to Intune. How do we do it in Intune? And testament to the guys, the product guys, because the product is now developed into something that's so intuitive to find your way around, to do some of the basic stuff. We found it quite easy moving. And this is coming from a bunch of people who had never really used Intune before, and now all of a sudden we've pushed workloads across co-management and we're running live with it. So the future's looking bright. I mean, if I had a crystal ball, I'm not too sure where we'd be in 12 months' time, but I'd probably say that a lot more workloads will be heading that way. We'll see. The term I use is the line is blurring between the two products.
Yeah,
more so in the last 4 to 5 months than ever. There's been a real speedy increase in that development.
One thing I will say on the adoption of the Intune product, and we've had conversations about this at work. The UK seems to be quite a bit behind the curve with adopting Intune in comparison to some countries. So, for example, out in Scandinavia, they've really adopted the Intune product and the MDM only management of Windows devices. And we're trying to figure it out. Is it because these countries have got better connections than us, or internet connections? Not too sure.
What my guess would be is, and correct me if I'm wrong, but that'd be typically a smaller organisation. So that'd be a couple of hundred seats compared to a couple of thousand seat sort of configuration.
Sure.
And that couple of hundred seat scenario where if you're wanting to run it with Config Manager, you've got to have that specialist or the consultants coming in and managing that for you.
Yeah.
That's where you can turn around to Intune and go, hey, I can save all this money or have saved this resource headcount by just going to a website and going, oh, I'm just going to do this. I don't have to know about IIS. I don't have to worry about WSUS. I don't have to worry about CMGs and distribution points and getting all my content around. It's just going to be there. That's the big thing that I see anyway. Like Australia, we've got a huge uptake of Intune. But we've also still got some very large CM environments. But that's part of the story why we see it is it's an easier step in, because learning Config Manager, as we all know, takes years to be an expert. And there's a lot of people in the industry that just want to shortcut that at the moment.
Yeah.
Well,
do you think I do Intune all the time, right?
Yeah.
Well, so looking at the transition between the two, so I mean, how much are you guys into doing Autopilot and that sort of stuff right now? So Ben, you mentioned earlier doing task sequences. So for me recently, I found myself at home needing to test VPN connectivity on test machines, and I have no access to test machines that aren't on the business network. So my entire VM farm is on the business network back of the office. So I had to do I built some machines in Hyper-V, did offline domain join and did some magic there, put the VPN client and it got them working. So I was able to run my task sequence from the point of the OS on, just the apps only, basically doing the config pieces to make it, to finish it out for us, to get through that. And it's like, well, this is impossible to actually do. I mean, this would be really, really hard. And yet, things like Autopilot and stuff exist, but I don't have access to those at this point because we're still doing that transition. So, I mean, what are you guys seeing in that space?
Yeah, we're just seeing not to say problems, that's not a nice word, it's a negative word. The challenges, taking a traditional task sequence machine and then chucking it on the internet. We've seen some interesting things. So one of the things is where we've taken a whole bunch of laptops for people to work from home with, lay down a task sequence, and then we're saying to the guys, we're going to do some code management on here, guys. We're going to switch some of the workloads across. We haven't got some of the applications in Intune yet to push down to the device, so there's still a bit of touchy going on the machines, in as much as one of the guys logs in and does some tweaking before the machine goes out. And there's little things like the primary user of the device in Intune. Yeah, so with code management, we're using the device token for enrollment, and then the next licensed Intune user to log on to that device becomes the primary user. So we were seeing a lot of devices belonging to a couple of guys in IT appearing in Intune, and we quickly found out that you can't change the primary user on a code-managed device yet. So you can for pure Intune, but not code-managed.
Yep.
So Leon and I had a few interesting text backs and forwards and trying different things. So we've now come up with a fairly solid process on changing the primary user for a co-managed device. And that's an example of where we've done stuff this way in the past. It doesn't quite fit the modern way of doing things. So,
yep.
And I've heard this a lot, where I think it's going to be really difficult to take your practice and merge it into something where it's completely seamless. I think there's a lot of work involved in that process. Whereas with Intune as a standalone product, now you can say, okay, I'm just going to put the time I was going to develop into that transition just directly into Intune, because it makes sense. So I think that's something we're going to be putting our time and effort into over the next few months, and start to move away from that traditional task sequence, I guess. So look at Autopilot, where it's quite simple to change the user when it's an Autopilot reset. So we haven't put too much time and effort into those technologies in Intune, but it's kind of it's won hearts and minds, I guess, and I'd imagine we will be over the next few weeks and months.
I think one thing I would say is what I'm seeing is we're getting some of the smaller customers come in and having us provide them a fully managed service. I think there's still a lot of people scared of Intune. And I don't know why. I don't know why. I do know why. It's a very different concept, right? Managing a Windows 10 device as a mobile device, and just trying to get across to people that, like when you're piloting a machine, it's like, okay, so if you remove the deployment of them settings from that machine, will it remove them settings? No. Not well. There's a few caveats, but no. Generally, yes. Yeah.
The consultant line. It depends.
It depends. But generally, no. It's think of it as a group policy preference. When that setting's applied to the device, when you remove the deployment, it won't revert back. It's kind of like why. Also, there are, and again, I'm probably answering my own question, why people are afraid of the product. There are endless different types of Windows 10 MDM profiles in Intune.
Mm-hmm.
And I've tried to answer in a presentation actually I've done at our user group recently and on a blog post, and tried to sort of explain why there's all these different options, how the product has evolved, and how we've had to implement the ability to manage your Win32 legacy applications, your legacy settings within Windows. So yeah, found that very interesting. Absolutely. And Autopilot, yeah, you mentioned Autopilot, Adam. That's kind of what I've been living and breathing for the past 8 months. I do config as well, guys. So complete noob.
It's all good. It's all good.
But I just find it annoys. It's just like, oh, really? Just ping it into Autopilot. That's it. Job's a good one. So, until you run a device through Autopilot, and then you realise you haven't patched the OS and it fails because there's some issues with it, especially with the likes of 1903. Yes,
1903 before June.
Yeah.
But one of the things around that whole Autopilot thing, has anybody played around with Autopilot and Config Manager task sequences together with the 2004 release of Config Manager?
2002.
Oh, yeah.
2002, sorry.
I haven't yet. No.
I have. It's pretty sweet. Are you familiar with what he's talking about? Do you know of the thing he's mentioning?
He can set a task sequence off after the.
Or during Autopilot.
They call it bootstrapping the task sequence. I think is the term that's used in the feature. But yeah, so you essentially can you just essentially specify an extra command line parameter in your client install command line that gets pushed down from Intune during Autopilot. And so when the client installs, if you have a task sequence advertised to a new special collection, and have that same advertisement ID in your client settings command line, it will start your task sequence without the client having to download policies and do the soak thing and then get through all of your collections down to the one that has your required task sequence applied to it. As soon as the client downloads its client policy, like the first time it checks in, it immediately will launch your task sequence and then pick up from there and do things. Yep. And so, it's
okay. So the reason
merging the lines.
I've seen this. So our for our product that we have Power On, that's kind of something that we have as a once we've installed the client, so the Pulse client, it has like a post-install task sequence. That's something that we've actually been doing for a while. It's not necessarily related to Autopilot, but yeah, it's interesting that we're seeing that now.
Yep.
It's 2002 in the fast ring, in the slow ring yet? Has it been released?
It's not slow ring yet. DJM just tweeted that maybe next week. So by the time the video comes out, it probably will be slow ring. So.
Yep.
I think was he talking about a new TP this week? Has that gone yet?
Yeah, he said today. He said today looked like a Config Manager Friday, but just for the TP. So
I better check that out then.
It's normally when I'm in bed, being over here in the UK. So when it gets released, we wake up 8 hours later, all bleary-eyed, and Twitter is alive with the sound of music. We're like,
yeah, right.
You should try it from Australia.
Yeah. Okay, so
one of the things. Sorry, Adam. So one of the things that how I found out about the updated for the config manager task sequences with the Autopilot is it broke a few of my customers' Autopilot provisioning because their CMGs were broken. So it's a gotcha for the folks out there that if you've got CMG in your environment and you don't renew certs because you're decommissioning it, but you don't completely decommission it, it will cause issues with your Autopilot provisioning.
Good shout.
So let's jump over and talk about your user group stuff a little bit here. So I'm going to get it wrong, but it's E something, East of England, EMUG.
Yeah,
EMUG.
What is it? Did I get it right? Is that what's saying, East of England or something?
East of England Microsoft user group. Yeah.
Yes, I didn't even look that up. I just knew it.
Absolutely, yeah.
Right.
I just had to. What do we call it, Leon? E.
Yeah, let's keep all of those E's in there. That's good. Yeah.
So yeah, the user group, that was seems an age ago. It seems like it's been going longer than it actually has. And I think the fact that our hand has been forced to have a virtual user group on our second meetup, it was kind of a curse and a blessing. I was kind of like really not sure how this is going to go, but Ben, I felt it was received really well. We were very kindly assisted by some of the great presenters we had there, and yeah, just to sort of cover the whole reason for us starting up a user group in our local area is that, well, basically we have a lot of kind of smaller IT businesses in our local area, and typically people who work within them organisations, they can't get down to the likes of London or across / up to the likes of Birmingham for these bigger conferences, because their organisations can't afford for them to have the time off. So we were hoping to almost have it as a, I don't like to use this term because it's offended people in the past, but a resource in the local area, so that the guys and gals can come along and start sort of collaborating with the IT community. Ben, anything that I've missed there? I think that's about it, really. Isn't it?
Yeah, spot on. It also gives, I mean, for us as well, the opportunity to share some of the stuff we're doing, because I think we're quite fortunate. We've made some really good contacts, being part of the Twitter community, and we really value their experience. And it was, for us to kind of share what we've learned as well. So we're not kind of working in silos. And as Leon said, the feedback we've had has been pretty awesome, and leaves us, feeling quite chuffed at the end of an event. You feel like you've kind of done something and given something back a little bit. And I think it was better received this time because we only had short sessions, Leon. We weren't speaking so much.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
They're more intelligent people than like to me talking.
So when you're sitting there having to plan the whole thing and also plan the content, prepare the content to speak, sounds like it's a bit of a extra heavy lifting, huh?
Well,
it was a real juggle, wasn't it?
We did say we was going to this time take turns, but every time it's like, we'll present as well. So both times we've kind of shared the loads, but it's not really. It's worked well. It's worked well.
And the good thing is that Leon and I, we're both endpoint guys. That's our love. But this event gives us the opportunity to bring other things in as well. So we look at all of the challenges in where Leon talks about the local businesses, and we look at all those challenges, and we kind of shaped the event focused on the Microsoft stack, but looking in all sorts of areas. So we were looking at Teams, Azure AD, Office 365, and the whole thing just comes together like an orchestra. I think it just works really well. And I think that's because we don't have those larger companies in our part of the world. So they don't necessarily have a full-on config man team, for their organization.
So is this an accurate? So it's in King's Lynn? Is that,
absolutely, yeah.
Look at that.
That's us.
So you're definitely in the east.
I'm actually there in Snettisham, just a little bit further up the coast, by the beach.
Yep, just above the green. Welsh National Natural Reserve.
The Wash, not Welsh.
Yeah,
Sorry. I saw it small and assumed.
Nice.
So
all right, sorry. Yeah,
I need to find a Welsh flag now and put it as a background. No, I can't do that.
Yeah, so it's really cool. We don't know where it's going to go. We had the second event, and I think it was almost twice as busy as the first event. So we'll see where it goes. Kind of led by the people almost. On the feedback's been really good. So it's going to be running for a while, I think, if our wives permit.
Yes, absolutely. Well,
I definitely think it's an awesome thing to be able to organize something like that. In my experience, and I think you guys would probably echo this, just even with your attendance numbers and stuff. The thing that I continually find is that if you're someone who wants a thing and it doesn't exist, then instead of waiting around for someone else to do it, just step up and get the ball rolling, and you will find people that will come alongside you and say, oh, hey, I want to join in and do that. And they will help share the load and do, pick up pieces. And I think that's fantastic, being able to, be able to start something like that. And I think I'm excited to see how it grows. I'm excited to get an invite to speak sometime.
Absolutely.
Hey.
Maybe even in person.
Yeah, in person. Yeah, when you guys get a budget, you call me, okay?
You should see.
Yeah,
his
you're more,
rider.
you're more than welcome, mate. You're more than welcome.
Yeah. Well, that's it. I mean, I think that's fantastic. That's really awesome that you guys are doing that. Do you have another one? I think you just completed one in the last week or two, I believe. So what's
the one it was securing the modern workplace. So it's all focused around the security stack. I mean, I learned some amazing things. It's such a big, such a big stack. When you look at everything that's available in E5, it can be quite daunting. So I learned a ton of stuff. So I get as much as I put in. We did come up with a rough timeline, didn't we, Leon, for the next one?
I'm not going to commit because I've just had a couple of presentations accepted for the Microsoft 365 virtual marathon.
He's abandoning me already.
No. It's at the end of May.
We're the big boys now.
I think, no, not at all, not at all. I think probably towards a bit closer to the summertime, Ben, for us. Maybe July time.
Yeah, the team's live event. Well, we didn't do live event in the end, did we? But
no.
We had some of the presenters not coming in from Windows devices, which was a bit of a challenge, but it still worked really well as a Teams meeting. I think it'll definitely be that again, won't it?
Apart from when we was waiting in the lobby somehow on our own, and there was one person there, and it was like, this is a washout, Ben. Oh dear. And then all of a sudden, we somehow was in our own lobby, and we got into the lobby eventually, and there was like 60 people waiting for us. I think it was like. Sorry, guys.
It was so funny. Like, we've got this polished Leon. I've got all my monitors on my desk.
We even started.
We're ready to go. We got one person. We got one person in. It's like, that's cool. You know, we can talk to one person. And then we just get all these messages, weren't we, on Twitter saying, "Where are you? Where are you? We're in. And we're like, "Well, we're in. Where are you?" So we left the meeting and went back into the same meeting. And it's like Leon said, there's just this flood of people there. We're like, "We're really sorry."
Somebody clicked on the wrong link.
Can't even join a Teams meeting, and we're about to tell you how to use some Microsoft stuff.
Wow, that's awesome.
It was funny.
And that one person's still sitting there waiting. Man, you guys.
We did. He did come in, didn't he? We did come in.
Got him back into the other one. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. He reached out on Meetup, and we said that rejoin again. Really sorry. We're human.
Yeah. So, do you guys have anything else you want to? So, just if you're watching along with this one, we are going to do another session with these guys right after this, actually, to do a deep dive into a technical topic. But so before we go, do you guys have anything else you want to talk about, bring up, mention that you feel needs to be said right now?
Well, we were speaking to Steve earlier about this list of things we want from Microsoft. Now he's there.
I'm sorry, we're having connection difficulties.
So we can go and read those out. It's only 13 items, you know. Should we just start with item?
That's okay. Put it up on Twitter, and somebody will grab it.
Absolutely.
But it's cool.
No, good. It's been great. It's been fun. Thank you.
Yeah, we love what you guys do. So yeah, it's been an honour to come in and to chat with you guys at last.
Excellent. Well, thank you guys for joining us. I hope that folks find it helpful to hear the stories from the trenches and hear how folks are doing things. I know this is not as deep divey and how to as folks are looking for on the training stuff, but I personally enjoy the being able to compare notes with other folks' opportunities, because I think it really helps either solidify, yes, I'm doing the right things, or no, hey, wow, I never even considered that, or whatever. So it also helps with that whole, the grass is not greener everywhere else. It's I think we're all on the same page and in the same boat a lot of times here. So it's great having these kinds of conversations.
Yeah, and I think you're totally right, Adam. We're all human, and maybe people have heard today that I'm learning all the time, and I make mistakes. I can't join a Teams meeting sometimes. So what I'd say to people is, we're all learning, and maybe some people are further ahead on the path on one particular topic than you. That doesn't mean they're better than you at everything. But what's so good about the MEM community is it's just so easy to reach out and I'd just say, if anybody's watching this, if you're not on Twitter, get on Twitter. Start following the hashtags for MCM and MS Intune, config, MGR, ME empowered. Yeah. Just get on there and don't hesitate to reach out and ask, because the community is pretty awesome.
Yeah, it is.
And I think that's really important too, because I personally use the Twitter platform to help promote other people's questions in the community. So I'm fortunate enough, I've got a fair amount of folks that follow me, and so I've got reach, I guess, if you look at it that way. And so people will tag me, or people that I follow or whatever. I'll see someone's question, and it's my mission. I'm gonna retweet your question. And I love seeing people then respond to that because of my tweet, or, being able to make sure that it's getting in front of someone that can answer. And even before this call, Ben, I mean, you had your cool team solution, and you asked, is anybody interested in seeing this? And who responded? David James said, yes, please.
I'll set myself up for it now, I think.
So even the product group wants to see your solution. So it's great. So you never know who's going to see this stuff. You never know who's going to respond. And I think that's really incredible, because, I mean, I love the number of solutions. I wish I would have kept a tally. The number of either product fixes or solutions or, whatever that I've gotten just from Twitter alone is phenomenal. And just being able to have access to just the whole community of people. There's tons of Microsoft people out here. There's tons of people that live in this world every day that are just happy to provide answers, because if you've already been through it, it's not like someone needs to get on with you and do troubleshooting. If you post your question with your, the error code you're seeing or whatever, many times someone has already seen that and can immediately give you an answer to it. And you don't have to go post a forum question and wait for someone to maybe respond and just sit on it. Man, I think it's phenomenal being able to do that.
Get on Twitter, get involved in the community, have a voice. It's how you make relationships, and I've made some really good relationships with some really cool people who I respect, enormously. And as those relationships develop, you get into DMs and you can bounce things off each other, and it's just it makes it feel like you're not alone in this fast-changing IT world, and you've got this mountain before you that you need to climb on your own.
That's pretty much how we met, Ben, isn't it? And we worked literally one block away in different organisations, and we met on LinkedIn virtually.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it?
This is literally our first time speaking to each other, and yet we've exchanged many conversations, just via DM and email and stuff. So it's phenomenal how small the world gets with all of the technology, and
we live in a very connected world.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you guys for being here. So before we go, tell us how we can find you. So here's your moment to promote your platforms, anything you, all of your social media bits and web addresses, and we'll drop them all in the description as well at the end.
If you click here,
this one
below. You can follow my ramblings at ByteBen. BYTEBEN. I've got a blog at byteben.com, or you can find me on Twitter. Always happy to help if you want to reach out.
And for myself, just search for my name. There's only one of me in the world, I can guarantee it. Leon Ashton-Leatherland. I've got a blog. I'm on Twitter. I'm fairly active on Twitter. And also follow our handle for the East of England Microsoft user group at EOEMUG, and we've also got a meetup group as well. Come check us out, and I should say we will have at least one more virtual event before we're fortunate enough to be able to meet in person again with people. There it is.
I just want to know before we go, what happened to the beard? This was the optimal time to be growing that thing out, man.
My wife told me to shave it off a few days ago. She didn't like it.
Oh no.
Yeah. So it's gone off.
Man,
this is as long as I'm allowed it.
Nice.
I was one of those guys who nearly shaved their head in lockdown. I was so close. That's why we need good wives, isn't it? Because she stopped me.
That's right. That's right.
Moment.
Well, thank you guys so much for joining us.
Thanks, guys.
We will stay tuned for the next session with these guys, where we're going to cover some technical things to be determined at this point. So see you next time. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Cheers. Bye bye.
Yeah.